Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar that we are having today, Rethinking the Role of Energy Technology for Women's Empowerment. I just want to share with you a few technical words, so everyone knows how we go about the webinar. My name is Eduardo, and we'll have like everyone muted. Only speakers will be able to speak. The presentation, you see like presentations and polls and quizzes. So you should be able to see the screen where we have the presentation and the cover of the webinar now. Any questions that you have, I would really appreciate it if you can post them on the question box, not in the chat box. We'll be following the question box, so that's really important. We won't be using the chat box in this webinar. So if you have any questions to the speakers, please put them on the question box. And you have a team monitoring the questions and then addressing back to the speakers when we get to the questions and answers. So I wish you a nice webinar today with a lot of debate and some like real inspiring outcomes from this conversation. So now I will give the floor to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege to welcome you to this webinar, which invites us all to rethink the role of energy technologies for women's for women's empowerment. We have put together remarkable experts from both private and public sector in Asia and Africa to discuss the gender dimensions of climate technology, taking the example of clean energy technologies. When I talk about we, I mean the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, and our strong partners, the CTCN, the Climate Technology Center and Network, where UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, is also a partner, Empower Women, and Energia. Before I say more about the mandate of UNIDO in promoting gender equality and empowering women, let me briefly present our partners. I'll begin with CTCN. The CTCN is the entity mandated by parties of the UNFCCC to assist developing countries in deploying environmentally sound technologies in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and climate vulnerability. The CTCN facilitates the development, the deployment, and transfer of climate technologies through 3 core services. First, providing technical assistance at the request of developing countries to accelerate the transfer of climate technologies. That includes policy, planning, regulatory support, technical assessment, capacity building, and training. Secondly, creating access to information and knowledge on the various climate technologies. Last, by fostering collaboration among climate technology stakeholders via the Center's network of regional and sectoral experts from academia, the private sector, and public and research institutions. Let me take this opportunity to invite Anna Falf from Empower Women to introduce her organization.
Thank you so much. We are very excited about this webinar and the collaboration with UNIDO and CTCN, Energia, and UNEP. We're very excited also to host this webinar. It's a very important topic for UN Women, and it affects millions of women and girls and men and boys all over the world, and it's an extremely important topic for us that UN Women is putting high priority towards. We see the linkages with energy technology as a catalyst for women's economic empowerment. We have, in some countries, we are connecting it very closely with the unpaid care work agenda, that women are taking the brunt of the work when energy is not available. But also it's for women's broader economic empowerment. It provides a catalyst for women to start and grow their businesses. So this is an area that we are very committed to as UN Women. And we want not only women to have access to these technologies, but we want them also to be the inventors, the leaders in the energy sector, and that they have equal opportunities to be that. It is, as all of you probably know, a very important topic in the post-2015 agenda, and we hope that this will remain a high priority of all countries and organizations beyond ourselves. So we are very excited, we're very committed partners today. What we are doing on Empower Women is a global movement we're building around women's economic empowerment. And we see these linkages, as I was just mentioning, the linkages to women's economic empowerment. So it is a topic that we are interested in covering more on the platform. And I just wanted to bring up some opportunities for all of you who might not yet have registered to empowerwomen.org to do so, because there are great opportunities to continue to discuss these issues after the webinar. But basically, we were launched in 2013 and with startup funding from the Government of Canada. And we have today 25 institutional partners, UNIDO being one of them, and we are very excited about this collaboration. We invite the other partners to join us as well. We have more than 200,000 users that come from more than 190 countries. About 6,000 of them have taken the extra step to register and be part of this growing community to promote women's economic empowerment. And just to give you a few very quick pointers on how you all can engage. So for example, we have a blog. You can see at the very top right corner. At the moment, we only have one of these blog stories on energy, which is from the Solar Sisters in East Africa. And if you have a story to tell about your views on energy or other issues related to economic empowerment, but in this context specifically on renewable energy, we welcome you to contribute your story. We have a news and update section. If there's something happening in your country, we'd love to feature it in our news and update section, and that will also then be captured in our monthly newsletter. If there is an event going on in your country, we would be happy to feature the event, and you can bring attention to get more more participants to your events. We also have e-discussions, and maybe this is something we can organize in the future with other partners interested in energy issues. But you can also start a conversation yourself. The first one where we call open ideas and questions. But the first thing that you need to do is to join, which is the orange button. You go in and you register, and you can engage in all these activities. Finally, another partner of ours on the platform is the World Bank, and following this webinar, there will be opportunities for you to apply to take their training course on gender and energy, which will span over a period of 4 weeks. You can see on the landing page opportunities. The deadline is 11 of May. So if this is something that you get very excited about from this webinar and want to take it forward, here's an opportunity to do so. But I welcome all of you, and thank you so much to all of our partners and all the participants for participating today. We are very excited to do this with UNIDO and the other partners. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anna. Let me take 1 minute to introduce Energia, and I will not say much because one of the founding members of Energia, Dr. Joy Clancy, will actually be presenting shortly. But Energia is an international network on Gender and Sustainable Energy. It is an international network of like-minded organizations and professionals established in 1996 and currently active in 22 countries in Africa and in Asia. Dr. Joy Clancy is going to share with us more about Energia during her presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, your interest in this webinar and the numerous discussions on gender equality reflect the huge attention gender aspects are currently receiving worldwide. I want to recall that this year is the 20th anniversary of the Beijing World Conference on Women at the 59th UN Commission on the Status of Women, and where governments committed themselves to scale up investments in women's empowerment to accelerate action. The He and She campaign raises successful attention all over the world. To get us started, we have put up a brief quiz which all the participants will be able to participate in, and we are going to show you the two slides reflecting the two questions, and I'll invite everyone who is listening to take part in this quick survey by clicking on what you believe will be the right response to the two questions that are going to be coming up in a short while. The first one is on the word rethinking. On the title of this webinar, the letters RIT are uppercase. Do you know what RIT stands for? Please select one of the following, the 5 responses, and it is active. So if you click on any of the answers that you deem is the best, it will be automatically recorded by the organizers. Shall we move over to the second question? The second question, do you think climate technologies such as renewable energy technologies are? Please select any one of the 4 answers provided: accessible and benefit women and men equally. That is the first option. Second, accessible and benefit more women than men. The third option, accessible and benefit more men than women. The last one, rarely accessible for women. Please click on any one of the options that you consider to be the best option. Thank you so much. Immediately we are going to be able to reflect the results of the quick quiz that we've just had. On the second question, and which is the more interesting question, we have 16% saying accessible and benefit women and men equally, 4% which are responding saying renewable energy technologies are accessible and benefit more women than men, 27% saying that climate technologies are accessible and benefit more men than women, and 53% saying that these technologies are rarely accessible for women. Thank you so much for your your response. Do we have the tally for the answers to the first question? On the first question, the question was, what does RET stands for in the title of this webinar? We have the highest is renewable energy technologies with 68%, which is indeed the correct response. We have, I think the next highest is renewable energy technology, resource energy and technology at 18%, 3% on responsible economic trends, reliable energy technologies 8%, and 3% none of them. Thank you so very much. I think we are ready to begin. I would begin by saying a few words about UNIDO, our mandate of inclusive and sustainable industrial development, and then about our active efforts in mainstreaming gender in our activities and in our institution. In achieving our unique mandate to accelerate inclusive and sustainable industrial development in ISID, UNIDO recognizes access to sustainable energy for productive uses as a key catalyst for inclusive and sustainable economic development. I'll just quote our Director General, Mr. Lee Yong, in his statement at the Lima Declaration, that is our general conference that was held in Lima to adopt our new mandate. He says, I quote, "Realizing the potential for inclusive and sustainable industrial development and combining our efforts for the common good through partnerships with all stakeholders will be the top priority for UNIDO as we witness and support the discussions on the post-2015 development agenda and beyond by encouraging investments in women-owned businesses, strengthening female networks, improving access to markets, and providing skills and training, technology, and clean energy solutions for inclusive and sustainable industrial development. UNIDO is helping to create a world where women can thrive. Indeed, UNIDO recognizes that gender equality is a goal in its own right, but it also forms an integral part of inclusive and sustainable development as stated in the Lima Declaration and is vital to the achievement of other development goals, such as poverty, environment sustainability, as well as social integration and the effectiveness and sustainability of our interventions. UNIDO's efforts to foster gender equality and the empowerment of women go hand in hand with our vision of a world where economic development is inclusive and sustainable and economic progress is equitable. Therefore, UNIDO considers gender mainstreaming as a key strategy for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of women. The UNIDO policy on gender equality and the empowerment of women created in 2009 and recently revised in 2015 oversees that, first, a gender perspective is reflected in all our programs, policies, and organizational practices. Second, the overall goal of gender equality and the empowerment of women, particularly the economic empowerment of women, is advanced. The organization seeks to join forces with partner institutions, part of the UN system that is, and with other public and private sector partners to deploy a diversity of experiences and expertise to advance the internationally agreed development goals related to gender equality. Also, UNIDO's efforts to achieve the goal of gender balance within our own structures, in particular at the decision-making level, is going to be accelerated. So I just want to highlight that we have revised our policy, updated our policy, and we have established a gender mainstreaming committee which oversees the mainstreaming of gender within our organization, but also in all our programs and projects. With regards to energy branch, we recognize that all energy interventions are expected to have an impact on people and are therefore not gender neutral. In fact, due to the diverging needs and rights regarding energy consumption, and production, women and men are expected to be affected differently by projects in terms of their rights, needs, roles, and opportunities. Therefore, we aim to demonstrate good practices in mainstreaming gender aspects in all our sustainable energy projects and avoid negative impacts on women or men due to their gender, ethnicity, social status, or age. I will share with you some of our projects. As we have, as I have highlighted before, we have adopted a two-track approach in mainstreaming gender. First of all, we have projects that are particularly focused on women empowerment, economic empowerment, and we also have taken active steps to mainstream gender in all our projects that are ongoing. Some of the projects that I can share with you include one of our projects on efficient cook stoves, which are being adopted by women who are in beer making industry in Burkina Faso. We have the ECOWAS program on gender mainstreaming in energy access, which is being done through the ECOWAS Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. One of our interesting projects is we have a project in Gambia where we are promoting renewable energy-based entrepreneurship for women in the Gambia. We have a revolving fund in Gambia where we are trying to promote renewable energy entrepreneurs. But after realizing that by the stage of at secondary level or at a college level, most of the women would not be participating or not be equally participating in the education system. We have taken active steps to provide intermediate training so that the women can actually have access to to the revolving fund that we are providing. Thank you so much. I am going to take this opportunity to invite our first panel speaker, Dr. Joy Clancy, who is going to give us the keynote presentation on energy, gender, technology, climate nexus. Thank you.
Thank you, Alwas. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's listening, depending on where you are in the world. I would also like to say thank you to UNIDO and to Empower Women for inviting Energia, the international network on gender and sustainable energy, to take part in this webinar. Well, I also already gave a little brief introduction to Energia, so I would probably skip that part, but the information is there for people who want to know more. And I've also given at the end slide, there is the web address for the Energia's web page. I'm going to say something about the Gender, Energy, Climate Change Nexus. Then I'm going to say something specifically related to women's empowerment through energy access. I'm going to give you a case, which is the biogas support program in Nepal. And then in my closing remarks, although we've been focusing very much at the project end, that also we mustn't forget about the policy environment. Well, Energia is a network which has been running now for nearly 20 years, and we work both in Africa and Asia. But I'll leave you to look up some more on that. The first part of my presentation is about the Gender, Energy, Climate Nexus. And what I would say about this is that, well, the energy choices affect climate change. I think most people in the world now accept that there is a good correlation between what type of energy we use and the effect that this has on the climate. And it affects us all. It affects men and women, and it will affect them differently because men and women just do different things in their everyday life. So we can expect some differences if the climate changes, if the weather changes, it's going to affect us differently. And we also, in terms of climate change, we need to think particularly about extreme weather events and how this causes additional problems related to displacement. And I think in the last few days, I think we're all aware that although it wasn't a weather event, the very unfortunate and sad events that have happened in Nepal linked to the earthquake have shown us what such events can have on communities. And I think I can safely say we're all thinking about everyone in Nepal and hoping for a better future for everybody, which energy will also play an important part in. But how we respond to such events is also gendered, and I'm going to say a little bit more about that in a few moments. And gender then, from the other direction, gender also affects our energy choices, that we can opt for low carbon energy sources, which can contribute to reducing climate change. And one of the things that we can look at is how we can walk along that path together. Now, if we use gender to analyse climate change, we can see that what it tells us is that particularly in rural areas, I'm focusing on rural areas at first, is that in most countries, in most areas, it's men who are responsible for cash crops, and in most areas, it's women who are responsible for subsistence crops. And those of you who are suddenly saying, well, it's not like that in my district, then that means you've done gender analysis, and I think that that's a very good sign that you're aware that what the situation is like in your particular locality. And again, the same statement, that we generally think that it's women's job to do, to provide for the household's fuel needs. Often in many households it's still biomass. Unless we start switching to commercial fuels, and then we find that men start getting involved. But I'm sure there are a lot of you who are listening who will say, yeah, but in my locality it's men who collect the fuel. That's again good, because it means you've done gender analysis and you're aware of the differences of roles that men and women have. My overall conclusion, though, when we look at climate change, is that climate change actually exacerbates existing problems. We know in many places fuel wood is getting more difficult to find, and climate change, if it causes severe erosion, can exacerbate that problem. So my own personal view is that climate change doesn't necessarily, in the energy sense, create new problems. It exacerbates existing problems. Now, I said that gender analysis can provide insights into coping strategies. And here we see very distinctly that men and women have different coping strategies. Men tend to migrate. For cultural reasons, it's easier for them to move to cities, and in some cases they move to other countries. And they generally have a better level of assets in which they can use to cope with severe changes that they might experience due to climate change. Women can be displaced. If they do, and they end up in new areas, often in a displaced persons camp, then there is evidence to show that there is increased vulnerability in fuel wood collection. And I have to say that that often energy is forgotten about as a commodity in displaced persons camps. Although I am happy to say that I've begun to see changes that many of the emergency organisations who come in at times of need are beginning to realise this, and I'm glad to say that that's a change that is taking place. Many women do stay put. but that means that they are starting from a lower level of assets to try to get their life and their family's life back in order. But we mustn't forget that many of them, they draw their livelihoods from natural resources. And if the natural resource base is damaged, then their livelihoods also are potentially damaged. Now, I would like to stress that women should not be seen as victims of climate change. That yes, they can suffer, they can be put in difficult situations, but they are also part of the solution. And I think that women come with their own special strengths. They're very good at social networks. They have indigenous knowledge of their communities and their natural resource base, and they also work well together, often through preference in self-help groups. Now, there is a well-known set of women's weaknesses that need to be addressed, and here I'm not talking about physical weaknesses but asset weaknesses, that they're contributing to women's empowerment if we think about providing access to credit, providing familiarity with modern technology, including the renewable energy technology, that they need some extra help with knowledge about market mechanisms, but I think also it's particularly important when you're thinking about projects is thinking about women's time poverty, that they don't always have the time to get involved with projects, although energy interventions and improving energy access can actually help reduce time poverty. But again, I would say that these issues are not specific to climate change. They are general problems of any intervention that is meant to support women. But we mustn't forget that they also take part in the energy sector. Now to move on to women's empowerment and its links with energy access. Well, if we look at the definition of women's empowerment, which is particularly appropriate because it is the 20th anniversary of the Beijing Platform for Action, and here I've put on this slide the definition from the Platform for Action, which defines women's empowerment as giving women greater equality with men in terms of the division of labour, creating more and better life chances for women, and giving them greater control over their bodies. Now, within these dimensions, I've included some very brief statements about the way that some evidence that is showing the way that energy is contributing to meeting this definition. That certainly in terms of the division of labour, what we find is that men get more involved with household tasks when clean energy powers labour-saving devices. Men become more inclined to help with preparing small fast food, drinks, maybe helping with the ironing. The evidence about creating more and better life chances for women, well, I think you're going to hear a lot more about that today from other speakers. But we certainly know that there's a lot of evidence that clean energy enables income-generating opportunities. Now, for the third dimension, giving greater control over their bodies, that's the evidence for that related to the energy sector. Energy access is much more tangible, and it's longer term, and it involves other factors. So then, if we then, what I put up here, I'm not going to go through this entire slide because it's quite detailed, but you might like to look at it. It takes an example of a solar home system, which is one of the very common renewable energy technologies for decentralized electricity access that's promoted for energy access. But this slide shows how it can also empower women. And it shows three different ways in which we can empower women. One is meeting their practical needs, sort of things that you do in your everyday household activities. It also can help women with their productive needs. and it can also help in here I've called it strategic needs, but this is also about a much broader definition of women's empowerment. So I think that shows that even if you do not take these as your specific what I would call a gender goal of changing women's lives, then these things will come automatically. They will come. I mean, they won't. You don't necessarily get all three in all projects or all outcomes, but it shows that I think that these are potentially possible. Now, one thing that Energia has been particularly promoting of late is that we should also see that women can be involved in the energy value chain. So that's all stages from manufacture to selling to marketing to follow-up services, that women should be seen as more than users of energy technology services. And there are lots of signs that that's happening, and some of these we're going to hear about this afternoon. Women make good sales agents. They understand women's practical needs and preferences, and in some cultures they can enter places men sometimes cannot enter. So that's a good start. Women as users are well positioned to inform what makes a good design of products, that they can help ensure that designers listen to what makes a good product. I also think, and that's one of the things that we're going to hear about this afternoon, is that existing businesses like shops can be also a useful entry point, that people can collect technology, that women through their little kiosks can also provide after-sales service. Women are keen to increase their income. They're looking for good opportunities to diversify in their businesses. And I would say that women are also keen to learn new skills. Again, we're going to hear some more about it. Well, I mentioned already when I talked about climate change that women need an extra helping hand to men. Men also need help with setting up businesses, but women just need that little bit extra. And one thing that I would say is that a lot of emphasis goes on individual entrepreneurs, but also I think it's important to recognize that often women, particularly if they're new to something, like to work in a cooperative model of working together. Again, self-confidence, and some stay working in that model, some branch off and set up their own enterprises. I also think that the important point on this slide is the fourth one, in which it's also important to sensitize men, that to see that women's empowerment is a positive development, that they can benefit, their families can benefit. Shouldn't be seen as something that is a concern. I'm briefly going to tell you about a very interesting program which is set in Nepal, which is about biogas. I'm not so much going to talk about the biogas as the technology itself, but to show that in this program, women broke the mold. We had women entering non-traditional employment, and I think that's also an important part of women's empowerment, is to create these new chances. And what this program has done in Nepal is to take affirmative action to encourage women as masons, to do the building, the brick building, the cement work of building the biogas digester. And this program took this very seriously, about thinking about how to encourage women, and also looking at women's own situation, that they are responsible for childcare. So if they're going to learn new skills, they need to make some provision for that to take place, and to provide training closer to home. So that this is what this program did. They also provided a financial award for the best mason, supervisor and entrepreneur, and this was done for women in these categories and men in these categories, and a financial reward was given. and also to get women interested in the first place, they used women to sensitize through women mobilizers about what was possible, and to reassure them about these new this approach to enabling them to learn their skills. Now, if we look at what this program set out also to try to get 50% of women's participation in user trainings, not only to focus on men. That's often a technology that's based in the household. The man gets the training, he goes off to the fields all day, and something is bound to go wrong during the daytime. And the woman doesn't know how to repair it. Nobody has told her how to fix the easiest thing. But this program took this as a conscious objective to make sure that women knew how to do simple repairs. And they included gender indicators in the program. And I'm happy to report that 94% of the biogas plants are functional. And this, the BSP decided, was much higher than usual, which they attributed in a large part to women's participation. There are 50 women's cooperatives mobilized to provide biogas loans, and there are now 9 women-owned biogas companies, and there are a large number of women masons now working in this particular project. I mean, I should say that there are, of course, a lot more biogas programs in Nepal, so also with very good success. So I think this demonstrates that from a supply side function, that this technology, which has many men's traditional roles, can also be made a good career option for women by being conscious. Now, my last remark is about policy. Policy is a key enabler. And what we have been saying for quite some time in Energia is that the key to this is gender or sex disaggregated data throughout the project cycle, to have gender-sensitive criteria and indicators. And there's a very good slogan which says, no data, no visibility. No visibility, no interest. No interest, no action. And here, I mean visibility to policymakers. If they don't see something, they won't be interested, and if they're not interested, they certainly won't do something. Now, women's participation and inclusion in policy making is also important. This helps to create that visibility, that to set the agenda of prioritizing in the energy sector. But it needs women's capacity to participate. It shouldn't be tokenism. It shouldn't be we will have 10% of women on the committee if women are not used to functioning in those roles. But also, we must, I think, keep also men in mind. Men also need their capacity building to create spaces for women's contribution. So I think it's not just focusing on women, it's about men and women. That's what gender is about. And I would also say that keeping in mind displacement due to extreme weather events also means keeping in mind making energy carriers part of the strategy. Now that brings to the end what I have to say. I would like to thank you all for listening and for any questions and comments. And on this closing page, it may be rather difficult to see in total detail, but this gives you some of the ideas about the publications that Energia has, which you'll find on our webpage, and our web page addresses here on this slide. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joy Clancy. For a very powerful presentation. I have just one question for you, which I think you can attend to towards the end. You mentioned that a policy is a key enabler. One of the participants was keen to know on how we can systematically translate the success stories that are happening at the ground level to policies. And in the event that we have policies, how do we mobilize the resources to ensure that those policies are actually implemented at the ground level? Thank you so much. Once again, I have the privilege of introducing to you our next speaker, Monica Christy. She's a senior program officer at Kopernik, running the Ibu Insprasi initiative, which is an initiative bringing low carbon technologies to remote rural areas across Indonesia. She works with local women's groups to provide rural women with skills and tools to become green technology agents and to sell small technologies that make a big difference. When she's visiting villages throughout Indonesia, Monica, she also volunteers as a secretary for Young Men Christian Association for the Bali region. Monica, over to you. We are not hearing from Monica. Monica, can you hear us? Monica, you may have to unmute your microphone.
Right. Is this, can you all hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear
Monica,
you.
Thanks a lot. We can hear you now. Please proceed, yeah?
Yeah. So, I'm Monica Christy. I'm the representative of Kopernik. We are based in Bali, Indonesia. It's now 9 p.m. here at night. And in this opportunity, I'd like to explain more about our initiative that is called Ibu Insprasi. What is Ibu Insprasi about? First of all, I would like to tell you about Kopernik. So Kopernik is a non-profit organization. We are based in Bali, in Indonesia. And we aim to deliver clean technologies to people living in the last mile communities. And Kopernik has been working with Indonesian women since 2011 to make clean energy technologies available to the remote communities. Like for example, here in Indonesia, we have a population of 200 million, but not many people know that 18 million people, they're still living without electricity, and around 100 million people, they are still practicing the traditional three-stone fire cooking method, which is fuel hungry and produce a lot of harmful smoke. So looking at all of these problems, so we come up with a solution by distributing making a distribution channel to, so we know that this problem exists, and we also know that the solution, that is the clean technologies to tackle this problem, exists in the world, but the producer, they have difficulties to reach those who really need it, who usually live in the rural areas. So Kopernik create a distribution channel using women. So up to now, Kopernik has trained and recruited more than 200 Ibu Insprasi, and they have sold around 10,000 technologies, which mean they have reached around 50,000 people with the clean technologies that they have sold. And surprisingly, that these women who live in the rural area, they actually take action into the mitigation action to tackle climate change, because from the technologies that they distribute, they have helped to reduce 7,000 tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So why Ibu Insprasi? And Ibu Insprasi, which means, which translates to inspirational women and mothers in English, but we call them Wonder Women to make it more catchy. But they're actually a superhero in their villages. They make these life-changing technologies available to their friends, to the family, to the communities, and they also deliver the good news that, hey, you can actually get rid of your old behavior and now you can change to clean technologies. And why we choose women instead of men? Because we are focusing on these three types of products. First is the fuel-efficient biomass cook stove. Now they can stop using trees on fire and they can switch their mind to use the biomass cook stove. And to those who to those community who drink water straight from the sources or they have to spend time to boiling water, now they have water filters that can filter up to 7,000 liters per year. And it saves their money, it saves their time, and it's more convenient for them. And for those who are still using kerosene lamp, we know that kerosene lamp produce very toxic fumes. Now these women introduce solar lamp to replace the kerosene lamp, and they also have difficulties to find kerosene in the villages because it becomes rare and very expensive. So using solar light, they can save their money, they can have a better health. So these women, the Ibu Insprasi, the Wonder Woman, they tell their friends, they sell these technologies to them, and from the profit that they gain by selling technologies, they can get it to boost their income. And in Kopernik, we have such an empowerment journey. We call it Ibu Insprasi Empowerment Journey. So at first, we recruit this Wonder Women we recruit these women to our Wonder Women program through our local partners in the project location where we work. And those women who are interested to become our Wonder Woman, they have to undergo trainings on financial literacy, like basic marketing and like basic sales skills, to give them a business capitals to start their business. And Kopernik, we give technologies on consignment to them, so they can repay to us when the products are sold. And after they have more confident to start their business, they can start promote their products to people. They can bring benefit to household and the community. And with our continuous support and mentoring, they become a skilled and confident woman, and now they can expand their business, not only selling technologies probably, but they can expand to other type of businesses using the profit that they receive by selling the clean technology products. And after they grow and empowered, they can enjoy improved life, and they have become a positive influencer for others. So we differentiate the three levels of empowerment and influence. The first one will be personal, because by joining the Wonder Women program, they personally they become empowered, and after they have self-confidence, they can influence the family. And after the family change their old behavior and using clean technologies, the family starts to tell the community, and that's where the level of empowerment and influence goes. So here's the breakdown of what kind of influence that happens personally. Like from selling technologies, they get more income, they have knowledge and skill set, and they have a solid self-esteem, and their well-being improve. And in the household level, now that they have more income, they can buy an asset, they can own it, and with the money they get from selling technologies, they have a financial security, and they have a bargaining power in the family, and which makes them and the family will involve them to be in the decision-making process. And in the community level, now that they have more, they are become more outspoken and proactive. They have a great participation in community, and with the expansion of their business, they can employ people to join the business, and they are actually a change agent because they deliver the good news that, hey, clean technologies exist, and let's start a better life using these products. So we differentiate 3 outcomes from our Ibu Insprasi program. First is, of course, the empowerment of the women MSCs itself. They have a confidence skill, they have extra income, they have decision making in the household, community participation, and secondly will be the tech users' life improve. Those who buy the technologies, they can experience the economic saving, the health improvement, and the productivity boost by the time that they save by using these products. And thirdly, it's the environmental benefit, like I've mentioned earlier, that using the clean technologies, they reduce the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and yeah, using fuel efficient cook stove, which means they can save more firewoods. And recently, Kopernik enters what's called an advocacy work. So this is to advance the adoption of women's economic empowerment as a core component of energy export. So Kopernik, through this advocacy work, we're going to raise awareness of the role of women's empowerment, because in Indonesia itself is not very highly discussed, and we are planning to bring this issue to the higher level, and are also going to engage with a key institution to advocate this for women's economic empowerment through energy access, to influence the Sea for All country action agenda and other investment perspectives. So talking about Ibu Insprasi, about this Wonder Woman, I have 2 stories from the field that I can share to you. So the first is this lady named Libertina. She actually owns a kiosk, a very modest kiosk selling snacks and drinks, and they live in a wooden house with 3 of her children and husband, and they share 1 bedroom to the whole family, and they have 1 kitchen. And she joined our Wonder Woman program a few years ago, and up to now she has sold more than 200 technologies, and not only selling it to the community where she belongs, but she also bring the products to the neighboring island, and through her relative in this neighboring island, she actually create another downline, which like I said before, they can create employment. So her relative who help her selling these products can get extra profit from it. So this is the evidence of how Wonder Woman actually can create employment, not only in making profit for themselves. And the good news is, from the profits that she saved, like part of it, she contributes to the new house that that is now already built, and she has moved from the old house to the new one, and she's really excited to grow her business, to sell more technologies, to spread the good news to others. And the other is Kamsina. So Kamsina is one of the leaders at women's organization at her area. So in her area, there are many people, many women who were left by their husband to migrate to other country as migrant workers, which makes them as the leader of the house. So women as a leader of the households, and including Kamsina. So she has responsibilities to not only finance the family, but also her extended family, that's her niece. And using the income that she got by selling this technology, she can send her niece to a university in Java to pursue a nursing degree, which is very, very heartwarming. And she also flew to Peru last year to receive an award by Momentum for Change by UNFCCC as a representative of Ibu Insprasi. Yeah, so I think that's all my presentation about Ibu Insprasi or Wonder Woman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm quite impressed by how the Ibu Insprasi initiative touches the lives of women at the local level and translates this into benefits which not only touch communities but also have global climate benefits. And I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate you for receiving an award from the Momentum for Climate for Change under the UNFCCC, under the Momentum for Change by United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. I'm taking the opportunity to also welcome the next speaker, who also got, who was also awarded the same award. The name is Miss Wandee. She is currently chairwoman and CEO of the Solar Power Company Group and Managing Director of Solar Roof Company Limited. She's running, a company, to date, her company is the largest solar power generating company in Thailand, with solar investments attracting more than $800 million US. We want to welcome, and please proceed with the presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes, hello everyone. We are from Thailand, and so I just would like to introduce my country a little bit. So Thailand is the heart of countries in ASEAN. You can see we are in the blue, and we are surrounded by love of other 9 countries, including Monica from Indonesia. And so we are not just a beautiful country for tourist destination, but we are also the land of great opportunity of the solar investment. And so many of you may not know Thailand well, so we are welcome for everyone to visit Thailand in this coming year, as we promoting a lot of our tourist spot. So we have Samui in Surat Thani, Pattaya, Phuket, and in Bangkok itself we have the most beautiful temple of the Emerald Buddha. So I hope many of you can get chance to visit Thailand one day. So I would like to introduce myself a bit. My name is Wandee Khunchornyakong. I am a chairperson and CEO of SPCG, which is listed in the Thai stock market. SPCG is the pioneer of the solar farm developer in Thailand and in ASEAN. SPCG is the first company that successfully developed solar farm to generate electricity for on-grid largest scale commercial purpose. where no one had achieved this accomplishment before. Our company became a famous precedent case in solar business in Asia. SPCG started with one small solar farm project in 2010, and now we have a total of 260 megawatts and consists of 36 solar farms in 10 provinces in the northeastern part of Thailand. And you can see that we start our business in 2008 when the government announced the policy to buy back the solar energy from private sector. And so I actually retired myself in 2006, 2007 and back to business because of the government had announced the policy to buy back from the solar energy producer, and we are able to start one project in 2010 and 4 projects in 2011 and another 4 projects in 2012 and 14 projects in 2013, and finally another 13 projects in 2014. SPCG created the clean energy that we help reduce equal to like 200,000 tons of CO2 emission each year, or equal to 500,000 barrels of oil each year. SPCG created more than 20,000 jobs during construction from 2010 to 2014, and we get a very great support from International Finance Corporation, which providing both equity and project financing that blended to our local financial institute in Thailand. And so this is very important that clean energy help not just reducing CO2 emission, but also can create a job for our local people. And so we from 2014 to the next 30 years, we can create more than 1,000 jobs permanent for the next 40-50 years to local people. As the result from this achievement, I was awarded one of the UNFCCC, which is I was so happy and I'm so proud of this award that I received from UNFCCC. That's my husband next to me, and this the behind all of the beautiful stories. I myself, as I said, I was retired in 2007, spending time with my family and taking care of myself. Thai government then announced the solar energy buyback policy with the adder of the 8 baht, equal to like 20 cents, 20 US cents. Almost a year passed by, no one submitted any application, and it came across my mind that with my experience in solar business for 20 years, but mostly in the rural electrification, I thought to myself that it's possible. I began my own study and research, and at my age it might seem strange, but it is because of my family support. I had fun exploring these new concepts at the time of solar power in Thailand or even in Asia. Only means for rural area where no electricity had reached, light only used for light bulb for a house in small village. Is the business model of my past experience. Is more like Monica in Indonesia actually. So with this policy, it means that solar will become one of the country's main energy sources beside natural gas, coal, and hydro. The more I study, the more I gain confidence in this project. So then I submit the first application to our utilities company. So it requires many documentation and project planning. the day that I walked into the authority to submit my application for one project, the government officer were very glad and asked me to take all possible quota since no one else saw solar potential. So I went back and worked some more when the policy, before the policy was over. Then I submit total of the 36 projects, so total 260 megawatts, or they call power purchase agreement. So after I got PPA, the next question is how to make this project become reality. I went to all my wealthy friends, explain them that I get a very good opportunity project to invest. So I need total of like 300 million baht, or around 10 million US dollars. So then from 300 million baht that I try to convince all my friends, it's turned out only 200,000 baht that I got from them. So it was so difficult. This is one of the barrier of the woman when we started business. So I decided to fund the project by taking loan from the bank. Again, I walked into the bank, so many banks, and more than 10 banks. They all say no to me because of the project was never done before. And until the last bank, their color is green. So I said to them that if they don't lend us the money, so they must go change the color. So they don't want to change the color from green, so they agree to support our project. Actually, their bank's name is Kasikorn Bank, and the CEO is engineer at that time, and he is quite understand about solar technology and agree to give the loan to the first project. Only debt ratio of 60-40. In the other word, I had to raise 280 million baht before this project can kick off. So it was a very difficult for a retired woman who already invested all my money to real estate. I have to find 280 million baht to finance the project as the equity. I went back to consult with my family, so I end up selling my house, selling my land, and because I have faith in the project, and the banks agree to support with the 60% of the total project cost. So I finally raised my own fund enough to start the projects, and we took us like almost 6 months to construct the project at that time. So I started about January in 2010, and I was able to connect the first project to the grid on 21st April of 2010. So then banks asked us to stay, to sit and stay for 6 months to follow up for the sun, how many kilowatt hour we can get from the Thai sun. So this is, I had to do all the information and gathering all the data for the banks till we can prove that the first project was possible. And it was already difficult to get the first project started. Even I have to sell my house, I have to sell my land, and the banks gave a lot of condition to start the first project, and banks asked us to find a good partner that bank can trust, and we can get confidence from many other banks to syndicate the loan, since we need at least a total of around 800 million US dollar to develop all 260 megawatts. So they asked me to go get ADB or World Bank, and so it was so difficult for me to, I don't know any of these two organizations. When I stopped working, I already see PC, which is when I come back to work again, I can see all the notebook and it was so difficult. So I Google and I can see that World Bank is in Hong Kong, and so then I flew to Hong Kong and start talking to World Bank, and then they asked me to go to Philippines and submit our application to get support from World Bank in terms of project financing, and it took me like 9 months to convince World Bank to support the second project, and buy back some share from the first project, and this is and I also received the Clean Technology Fund, which is enable our project to get a better of the financial cost in order to develop for the second, the third, the fourth project in 2011. So this is some story of how I developed the first project. Next one. So then the barrier that I faced in the past, that we the bank said this is the precedent case, and they said to me that no policy in solar business, that means that no policy to support the solar financing. So because I don't understand the way of bank thinking, so the banks always worry about the risk. So then I said to them, if you don't have policy, then set up the policy. But at that time, no one believed in solar. So then we have to make the business model that convince people to believe in the project in order to start and to raise the fund. And then I have to do what M&A, the company that already listed in the Thai stock market in 2011, and looking for the strategic partner, which I found Kyocera and IFC at that time, and we have to hire also independent engineering company, and as well as the financial advisor to help starting the proper project agreement. We have one project, we take like 20 agreement, and that was the difficult time for women. And with the financial, we have to also use all the international legal advisor, which is I have experience paying to all the most expensive legal advisor in this country and international level. So this is something that we as a woman are facing difficulty getting all these things moved at that time. So women and leadership. So yes, Thailand still have some problem on women being a leader. So and we also, of course, even we just have the first woman prime minister, the last one in past 3 years. So how we reduce the gender between men and women is we have to create a teamwork, and we have to set up the target, and we have to evaluate the performance. Sometimes, most of the time, women achieve the target faster than men, because in the details of the work, I think women always do a bit better than men most of the works, and we have 60-70% of women work on the field and as well as in the office. Women with technology is always a bit difficult. Stereotype of women is that we have to learning by listening, learning by doing, learning by experiencing, learning by sharing, learning by success case. So that all these tools we have to share among the women, and we can reduce all the gender problems. So then my suggest or my way of working in everything that I want to do. So I have to think first, and if I believe in my thinking, then I have to have faith on what I want to do, and if I have all these 3 things that I already walked through, so then planning is one of the most important thing before we start doing it. And then during whatever our action, whatever our process of works, we always keep evaluation and then make sure that we achieve all the targets that we set. So this is I actually don't worry much about being a woman, and I believe that when I believe that I can do in anything that I want to reach, so I will walk to my target, and I will continue convincing all men or women, to walk along with me to my way. So this is just my experience about developing solar power business in Thailand. So then if I can be any help or sharing more of the information, so I welcome all the audience, and through email or whenever you get chance to visit our beautiful country, so then anytime be our guest. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Wandee, for equally a very much inspiring presentation. In as much as it has inspired me, I believe that it has inspired so many people who are listening, and congratulations on your very interesting success story, but also on the award that you have received. In the interest of time, I would shift to the next speaker, but I want to take this opportunity to encourage all the audience to post their questions during the presentations. We are going to have a question and answer session at the end, and also I would want to also inform all the audience that the presentations are going to be available after this webinar. Let me take this opportunity to welcome Ms. Ondina from who is working Ondina, who is working as a project manager for UN Women in Mozambique. She has worked in Angola. Also, she has worked as a government in the government before. She is a very proud feminist and gender equality and women's rights activist. Please proceed. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to engage with all of you and to share the experience of UN Women's Mozambique support in the area of gender and energy, which was actually part of the support that we provided for the implementation of the gender, climate change, and environment strategy and action plan of the government of Mozambique from the period of 2011 to 2013. The strategy was also developed with UN Women's support. I will start with these two pictures, which basically summarize what the presentation is all about, what the work is all about. A proud woman molding clay, using clay as a source of empowerment, and then we can also see the proudness in her face. The second picture is about the technology itself, but there is much more that I will be sharing throughout the presentation. As I did say, in 2009, UN Women did support the Minister of Coordination of Environment of Mozambique in formulating a strategy on gender, environment, and climate change and the respective action plan. In 2010, the strategy and action plan were approved, and Mozambique became a worldwide pioneer in terms of working towards mainstreaming gender issues into climate change and dealing with the nexus between the two. and from 2001 to 2013, we did contribute along with other partners from the UN, donor community, and others in the implementation of the strategy. For UN Women, it was mostly about how to empower women using climate change, using the environment adaptation as a source of women's leadership at community level, and also as a source of resources for economic empowerment. The energy technology itself, as I said, well, besides the stoves, we have different, you can see here, 2 types of stoves, which have been disseminated and used, as well as the parts of it. And there is the oven, which is also used at the household level, but also to produce, to support production of income for women. In terms of key actions and also beneficiaries of the intervention, we basically supported the creation and the revitalization of community committees of natural resources management, which do exist, which have been established by law in Mozambique. Normally we do, we did work in terms of ensuring that they would be created taking into account, or they would be revitalized taking into account the issues of equitable participation of women, making sure that the voices of women would be heard as, within the process. There was also capacity building of the members of the committees, particularly women, to engage in decision making, including in terms of selecting the type of interventions at the community level, which had on one side potential to enable women's empowerment, but also a potential to make women part of the process, and also had a socio-economic capacity. We also supported throughout the period training of 36 communities in 9 localities throughout the countries on environment-friendly technologies in the areas of energy. Those where, as I did show before, low consumption firewood stoves and ovens, and in the area of agriculture there were also drought resistance crops, low consumption irrigation techniques. This is just to illustrate the type of the type of technologies which reached out to more than 220 women across the country, but particularly in the districts of Mafuiane, Bela Vista, which are in the southern area of Mozambique, Gorongosa central area, and also Shemba, which is in the central area of Mozambique. In terms of what did the experience brought to us on lessons and observations that we have been having. On one side, we could see that women demonstrated a lot of interest in energy technology. And this was because the technology itself, the stoves and the ovens were perceived as tailored to respond to their constraints and their needs in a number of ways. It had potential, in the view of the women, it had potential to lessen household burden, which is also worsened by deforestation in those areas. It also had potential business opportunity with low investment. Actually, most of what was required for women to start the business opportunity out of that technology was around them, which was clay, which was water, and also, well, the labor force and the knowledge which they do have. Well, the fact that this would imply less costs in terms of how to maintain the technology, and if to use it as a source of income, then these are elements that would make it attractive. There was also from the women the view that technology, because well, it can be used at the household level within their village, within their communities, and it also can be made available to those outside their communities. And this responds to one of the issues which often impairs women's ability to engage, particularly in business in rural areas. The issue of limited mobility, which, as we all know, is caused by, well, unfair domestic division of labor, but also power relations within the family and communities. Women have to ask permission to go out of the household. Women have to ask for permission to go out of their community and even to do whatever work, whether it's on their own benefit or on the benefit of the community. We have also learned that deliberate and consistent efforts are very important if we are to harness the potential of energy technology to contribute to improve women's socioeconomic status within a community. And when we're talking of a deliberate and consistent effort, this includes, this goes from training, this goes from assistance in terms of how to use, how to, particularly business side of the technology, and also in terms of, well, nurturing the component of improving the socioeconomic status within the community. And we have seen that the fact that the initiative, the strategy itself already had embedded a gender transformative approach was quite supportive, because then the work would take place not only with women, the support would not be provided to women, but it was combined with other interventions addressed to the communities, addressed to the members of the families, with a view to discuss gender issues, understand gender issues, understand how issues of unequal power relations do affect women, the rights of women to participate and to develop their abilities to their own benefit and to the benefit of their families and communities, but also, well, how what the community could do in order to support, and what positive experiences could be around, that could be used to illustrate this type of impact. We also learned that provision of technical support, business capacity, business support in terms of finance literacy, basic business management is all, and mentoring needs to be foreseen if we are to harness the potential of the technology to empower women. Similarly, as I have previously indicated, the environment at community and household level also needs to be to be conducive for this to happen. We have also, and we do believe that, we strongly believe that the leadership of the formulation and implementation of the strategy, the gender, environment and climate change strategy by the former Minister of Coordination of Environmental Affairs, who happens to be a gender equality expert and activist, also mobilized the institutional commitment for implementation and including transformation within the institution and capacity building within the institution to be able to leverage the potential of the technologies and the climate change adaptation efforts as to empower women both at the level of social and economic sphere. In terms of recommendations that we would make, for instance, for international organizations or financial institutions in scaling up of gender equality and women's empowerment, strategy, but not limited to that, is basically basically two. One, to get as much as possible inspiration from women's economic empowerment principles, and start a journey by making gender expertise part of the core team, both in terms of those who develop financial solutions, but also those who implement the financial solutions for women with a view to do business with a gender equality perspective. I'm quoting I would say, the main message from the gender equality principles. Gender equality means business. We would also recommend that international organizations and financial institutions to explore as much as possible development of packages, comprehensive packages of financial solutions which promote women's access to technologies for domestic use and for business, but taking into account the elements of funding, assistance, and taking into account the elements of funding and technical assistance, which we believe are the ones that have the potential to help women, particularly rural women, in thriving in their initiatives. For young women, which is one group that we have been engaging with, and particularly those who would like to work with energy technologies. Our message would be to seek to make technologies to work towards the realization of their rights and also the rights of other women to a life, to a fulfilling, safe, and dignified life. They know, as users, they know better, women and young women know better what technology works for them, what technologies should do for them. So we would like to see young women engaged and taking an active role towards making technologies work for them. For policymakers on energy, one key element in our view is that, well, we need to collect data. It is important to collect data on gender and energy. It needs to be used to inform policy making. For instance, introducing, devising measures which will promote equitable access to energy technologies by women, particularly green technology. facilitating access to funding, investing in training, especially for young women, and also promoting participation of women in the related decision-making, energy-related decision-making processes. I would end with the voice of rural women who benefited from the support from the early beginning, and this is what her message was after one of the training sessions. With the knowledge of producing improved stoves, we can foresee some improvements. We will save money and time. We will also not be vulnerable to domestic violence because the food will be always warm for our husbands, and they will have warm water to bath. We will also sell the stoves and have money to send our kids to school and buy food. Well, various messages. Domestic violence. There is a contribution that the technology can provide to women's to uphold women's rights. There are still issues related to women need to look themselves not only in their role as within the household but beyond it, and we can see all these elements in our point of view in this voice of the woman that we have supported. And thank you very much for listening, and we will be open to questions.
Thank you very much, Ondina, for a very powerful and inspirational presentation. I would just want to take this opportunity to extend my congratulations and my appreciation to all the presenters for the success stories and sharing their businesses and interventions that are inspirational, and I wish you all the success and continued success in the different initiatives that you're working on. Before handing over to Joy Clancy, I would want to also recognize that we have I want to believe that our audience is equally inspired by the different work that the ladies are engaged in. So we have received a lot of questions. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to propose to Joy Clancy to moderate a panel discussion for about 10 minutes, and we are going to have an open Q&A session for about 8 to 7 minutes so that we are able to finish the webinar as proposed within 2 hours. Thank you so much. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Awa. I think also we've had a really exciting set of presentations, and I think one of the things that I found most interesting, which I'd like to hear what the panelists have to say, is something that came from Ondina's presentation, which was about inspiring young women. How do we get young women involved? And particularly because sometimes we think that young women are not interested in technology. So how do we do that? So I think I'd be interested to hear that. Monica, should I ask you to start? How do you feel?
Yeah. So most of our Ibu Insprasi, most of them are mothers, and not many of them are single or young women. But there's some stories that we actually recruit young women to our because first when we introduce the program, we emphasize actually on the benefit of using the technologies, such as the economic savings, the health benefits, the environmental benefits, and also it can improve their income, because by selling technologies they can earn profit. And then there's one lady who is still in the university, and she's really keen to promote the solar light in her village, because she knows that she's not only doing good by telling people that now they have, she has a solution to the kerosene lamp that they usually use. But from the money, from the profit that she receives, she can pay for her school. So it's very different approach, because now that young women, they have different type of media to influence them. So in Kopernik we have that is called a social marketing campaign. That's a marketing campaign that's focusing on promoting products, technologies in the last mile communities, and it received a great response, not only from the women, the men, and also the young generations. Because once they understand about the problems, they encourage them to do something, and they have actually more motivation and eager to make change. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Monica. That's very interesting. Wandee, what about you? I was very humbled by your presentation. So, do you think that young women will face additional problems to what you had?
Actually, what I can see, young women nowadays, many of them have better education on technologies that they love to put themselves into it, like computer or mobile phones, or they can read all night long, they can watch all the things that they like on all these medias. So for us to adding something into this media, for example, knowledge of the energy or how important of their future, that they have to challenge with the cost of the energy, whatever renewable or fossil fuels, things like that. I think this is another way that we can help educate young women, and we have to show them the benefit that they are going to get. For example, many of them are in the rural areas. How can they get a better life, and how can they get education throughout all the energy that they can produce? For example, solar for rural, electrification for education, for the schools, some things that we can pass on to them, to the young generation, to pass to the elder generation. That's be the opportunity. Luckily, in Thailand, we have energy that access to the people almost 99.5%. So only a few of them that live on the island or on top of the mountains that we have a problem to get the energy to them. So, but we are running out of the natural gas from the Gulf of Thailand. So we have to study import the LNG in the near future. So that's why we, so for example, solar farm is one of the key answers for young generation in the future. So I think to give education and to give them the way to go, so then the rest of the future is really belong to their hands. So this is something that we are sharing with our young generation.
Thank you, Wandee. I think you make a good point there to remind us that it's also the role that energy plays in enabling girls to go to school, because often young women, girls are asked to stay behind and help their mothers collect fuel wood or water, and if we provide alternative energy sources, then that helps that, and those young women get educated so that they can follow in your footsteps and in Monica's footsteps. Ondina, is there something you would like to share with us on that aspect?
Yes, yes. I think education, technical education, is one of the areas where young women should be encouraged to take. Learning from the experience in Mozambique, well, after 7 years of basic education, very few women or young women or girls go for a technical education, for instance, which is available and which deals with mostly, which also has areas related to gaining practical skills. But then when young girls, when they also do secondary level and through the university, often do not go for science. Investing in science, which is very much related to technologies, is fundamental. And in Mozambique, the Minister of Education, with support from a number of partners, including the UN, is also investing in terms of informing young women of what possibilities are there in terms of income, in terms of employment, in terms of job, if opting, for instance, for science instead of other areas. So working on campaigns and also identifying and exposing role models, promoting dialogue between young women in schools from the primary level up to the university in terms of what can be done, what is the potential of technologies and what business can come out of it, and how this will contribute for your own rights to be upheld. I think it's important.
Thank you, Ondina. I think, as I can speak as a university professor, it is a challenge to get young women interested in technology, and it's if I had the answer to this, the magic answer, I think I would become very rich and could retire actually from being a university professor. I'm now going to hand you over to Awa, who I think has got some questions from the audience.
Oh, thank you so much, Joy. I was quite impressed with your retirement plan. I have a couple of questions, and I'm struggling on how to put them together in such a manner that we are able to address them. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just read through some of the main questions that we managed to gather, and I will invite all the speakers perhaps to respond to any or part of the different questions that they would identify with or they would want to contribute to. The first question is issue of culture. How do we overcome or handle traditions, cultural or social norms that prevent or hinder women's potential to participate in renewable energy technologies related initiatives? We also have another question on how do we integrate women's businesses into the bigger marketplace? And are the businesses by women profitable after all? And the other question is, which I think is, is also quite interesting, is came from, if I may mention the country, from Cameroon. Someone says that finance was a challenge, but also lack of initiative/interest by women to engage in opportunities. What incentives have worked in other countries, in other projects, and that using renewable energy for economic empowerment? And I think one of the cross-cutting question is, suppose any one of you had a magic wand or could access presidents or prime ministers, specifically, what kind of incentives do you think governments should be put in place so that women are able to not only access technologies, but also to ensure that these technologies are integrated into their daily lives in order to meet their immediate, their practical, but also the community needs. Thank you. Anyone who would want to be the first one to take to address to those questions? In the interest of progress, I would invite Joy to respond to any of the questions that I posed.
Oh, thank you. Well, yes, perhaps I'm not the best one to answer the integrate women into markets. I think that the question you posed about culture is also rather linked to the question posed that you said came from the Cameroon about the lack of initiative and interest by women in technologies. I think that you have to take a culturally sensitive approach, and you have to understand the culture in which you are working with. I mean, I don't know the circumstances of the Cameroon questioner, but I would, if you try to ask women to come to a meeting where there are men, one, do they have the time? Is it posed? Is the meeting organized when women are preparing dinner? So I think that's an issue that I would wonder about. And also, if we take the example from Nepal, what in the Barca program, they held separate meetings for women and men, and that's one of the reasons you have such a good response from women. And I think you cannot expect all women to be interested in technology. After all, not all men are interested in cars. So I think one shouldn't be so binary about attitudes towards technology. Now, perhaps I can hand this over now, say, to Monica to respond.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so we also have had experience where there are also men who raise their interest to be part of the program, but in our program is called Wonder Woman. So should we create Wonder Man? But then it's quite a different approach, because when we talk about women, when we talk with women, they have we have to have a strategy to catch their heart, not only using the logic, but also to bring them to first to state their goals. So what kind of goals that they want to achieve in their life? Is it to send her schools to study, or to you know, like build to help the husband to renovate the house. So so it's different approach in influencing women to join the program, because for men, they tend to be more more focused, such as like how much profit they can get from, you know, like selling technologies and things like that. So it's totally different approach, but we experience a lot of we actually experience greater impact when we work with women, because when we like you know, like we all know that when we empower women, we empower the whole family. And it's actually very different approach between influencing women and men to join the clean technology program.
Thank you so much, Monica. Let me invite Wandee to weigh in some of these questions, especially on finance, because one of the issues that the questions refer to is how do we ensure that the various sources of finance are also accessible not only to established women but to young women as well. Wandee.
Oh, yes, I think that each of culture of each of country is a bit different. So we have to planning ourselves to all the problems or situation that we are facing. For example, when I first approaching the bank, and when they don't understand about the solar investment, and so then we have to convince them and show them our the professionality on that we are able to do it, and we think we can do it with a proper business model, with a good teamwork, and that our team can reach the goal. And we have to also show them not just the a good business model, but also all evidence that we can do it, and with all the good strategic partners and the teams, and they also, most of them are men, and they have a difficulty believing women, and so then we also have to go along with them sometime when they have so many questions. We follow all the questions, and we have to be able to answer every question that they have. So this is something that I use and I experience all the past of the problem, and we have a good team, as I said. So we have to get the target, we have to convince them, and from think local to think globally, and then if we can do it, so we can change the world, we can change the form of energy producing. We don't have to live by fossil fuels, and it's going to be good for the country, not just Thailand, but the whole world. So this is something that I use in my case in the past.
Thank you so much, Wandee, for that. I would invite my colleague from Mozambique to respond to those questions. Also, I wanted to share with you the fact that I implemented one of my projects in Mozambique. It was in Chikwalakwala. I mean, providing solar homes, solar water pumping systems and biogas digesters for villages. I was actually touched on how we provided training to women who could not read and write, but those women were actually able now to provide services, to provide maintenance to some of these solar water pumping systems. I also wanted to invite you to respond to the questions both on culture, but also issues of finance. How do we ensure that the women can actually also equally access finance to invest in these technologies? Thank you.
Okay, in relation to culture, I think it is important to work with the environment where women are. Yes, we target women. Yes, we work with women, for women, with women and for women. But then we need to make sure that the culture gatekeepers, for instance, are supportive and also do understand the rationale for these initiatives to prioritizing women, for instance. What benefits are there for them as for the communities, and involving them in terms of well, now let's pass on the message to the communities to have the culture gatekeepers, for instance, to have a role in promoting mindset changing in relation to women's roles at community, women's business at community, and then I think this could be one end. Besides the culture gatekeepers, I also think there are others. Even within the family, there is work to be done with men to make sure that the issue of power, shared power within the household is understood and what benefits are there for the family. So this would be my reflection around culture. In relation to financing, I think I would go more for the magic wand, which you have referred to. Having governments to invest in one, popularizing the energy technologies. And popularizing the technologies, but also having tailor-made messages for women and for men and for different audiences, with a view to make sure that once there is willingness to adopt, it is also understood why. But concurrently, I think it's also important to, if governments, if our government, for instance, could support business, energy business, for instance, the same way support is provided for agribusiness. Energy is one of those areas, at least in Mozambique, which I see that the potential for business is not yet necessarily explored. So governments could also invest in that for women, for men, but particularly for women in this case, which is the issue that we are mostly concerned about. So.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your interventions and to thank our audience for all the comments, the questions that we have read, and they are all going to be, considered by the organizing team, and will surely contribute to the summary document. I want to, to thank our co-organizers of this webinar, the CTCN, UN Women, and NEGIA for putting or helping us to put this webinar together. Let me take also the opportunity to particularly thank our speakers, Dr. Joy Clancy, Monica, Christy, Monica, Wandee, and Ondina. Your different stories have, to a large extent, inspired people around the world. I want to also take this the opportunity to inform you that UNIDO, we are taking the gender quite seriously, and to invite all our audience and our participants to the side event that we are going to be organizing at the Vienna Energy Forum. And the side event is on rethinking the gender energy nexus, adding value to sustainable and inclusive development in the energy sector. This will take place on the 20th of June. And this event is going to be organized by the energy branch of UNIDO in close collaboration with the Gender and Energy Programs of the World Bank, SMAP, the Ocean Development Agency, SNV, and Energia. Thank you once again for listening. It was a pleasure to have you all. I hand over now to Eduardo for the very end.
Thanks a lot. We are pleased with the inspiring conversation we had today, and for this unique opportunity to see concrete projects and initiatives linking energy technology and women's economic empowerment. I'd like to thank again each one of the presenters, Aloy, Monica, Wandee, Ondina, for this opportunity of sharing their fascinating experience and joy, of course, with us all. We'll make the record of this webinar available on empowerwomen.org, alongside with all presentations and additional resources. You will all be notified by email when it becomes available. So we hope to see you soon joining other webinars and discussions at Empower Women. And I would like now to officially close the webinar. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you,
Thank
bye.
you. Have a good time.
Bye.